Coca-Cola was invented in 1886 by a pharmacologist named Dr. John Stith Pemberton, who was also a Civil War veteran and a morphine addict. Coke is based on a drink called Vin Marine, which was made by Parisian chemist Angelo Mariani. Now, Coca-Cola is the most popular soft drink on the globe. These are its 5 darkest secrets. 5. Actively worked to make sure youngsters drank Coca-Cola instead of healthy drinks. In the 1990s, several soft drink companies were striving to attract users in a very saturated market. Coca-Cola's strategy was to go after high school students and probably get them to like their brand for life. Which is pretty much the same way that tobacco companies use to attract customers. In the mid-1990s, Coca-Cola started to sign pouring contracts with schools. In trade for bonuses that were given to the schools, Coca-Cola wanted exclusive rights to sell their goods in vending machines and in the cafeteria. The schools, who usually worked with fixed budgets, normally agreed to do it. In some instances, Coca-Cola provided many schools around $30,000 up front and then a commission for the exclusive rights to sell Coke products in the schools for 10 years. In one case, Coca-Cola gave $90,000 to a school in Syracuse, New York, to make a stadium that should have a big Coca-Cola emblem on it. While that may not look super sinister, where it gets into the dark territory is that schools were then helped to sell Coke and awarded bonuses if they sold more goods. They were further told that they would make less money if they sell healthier drinks, like milk or fruit juices, rather of soft drinks. In some cases, healthier drinks were not available at all because Coca-Cola did not approve of them being sold in schools. Now, after 20 years, there is an obesity epidemic in America. Of course, Coca-Cola has contributed to this problem and they have also recognized this in their own reports. For the past 10 years, the only biggest threat to Coca's Cola profit has been obesity. 4. Their water problems. While the recipe for Coca-Cola is a strictly guarded secret, one main ingredient that they have to make the sugary drink is water. It takes about 0.71 gallons of water to produce 0.26 gallons of Coca-Cola. This becomes a major problem when Coca-Cola decides to set up bottling facilities in places that do not have a lot of water to begin with. Examples of where this has occurred are in some states in India and some places in Latin America. What happens is that Coca-Cola sets up a bottling plant. They use too much groundwater. That makes water shortages in the area, which means there is not enough water to drink or to water crops, which then leads to food shortages. After a decade of opposing, one factory in India was shut down in 2015. But Coca-Cola factories using up too much local water is still a problem in India, Latin America, and in other developing countries around the globe. 3. Coca-Cola no longer contains cocaine. One of the famous rumors about Coca-Cola is that the original recipe used cocaine. And it is totally true. They used coca leaves which had the cocaine alkaloid, which was used to make powdered cocaine. It is tough to say precisely how much cocaine the original drink contained, but there was a tiny bit in it. Also, the original Coca-Cola was alcoholic. However, in 1886, Atlanta set a ban. So the alcohol was removed and sugar was added. But the cocaine remained an ingredient in the drink for the next decade. In 1899, Coca-Cola began selling its drinks in bottles. The bottles were popular amongst African Americans because they did not have access to fountain pop due to segregation laws. However, this caused panic among some white middle and upper class people. Some vocal members of those communities were frightened that black people who were empowered by a cocaine drink may start attacking them. and they wouldn't be capable to stop them. In reply to the fears, Coca-Cola began to took out cocaine from the recipe in 1903. And replaced it with caffeine and more sugar. 2. Coca-Cola and the Colombian unions. On December 5, 1986, a right-wing paramilitary unit showed up at a Coca-Cola bottling factory in Caripa, Colombia. One of the plant's union's executives, Isidro Segundo Gil, went to question what the team wanted, and they started firing on him, killing him. Later that night, the paramilitary group went to the union's headquarters, where they destroyed their stuff and then burned the place to destroy all the records. The next day, the paramilitary went into the bottling factory and provided the union workers a choice: quit job or die like Gil. Clearly, many of the workers, who were making $380 to $400 a month, left their jobs. After they leave, the paramilitary shacked up in the bottling factory for 2 months. When the plant reopened, the union workers were replaced with workers who were paid $130 a month. While there is no convincing evidence that anyone from Coca-Cola's main office ordered any of the murders, critics point out that Coca-Cola did very little to investigate the deaths. In fact, they did not oppose to the Colombian government that the paramilitary killed their workers or that they were sitting in their facility for 2 months. Also, at the time of the shooting, the union workers were attempting to negotiate more favorable working conditions with the bottling company Bebidas y Alimentos, which was contracted by Coca-Cola to bottle their goods in South America. In the years after the murder, Bebidas has declined to negotiate anything with their workers. Finally, this was not the only Coca-Cola union to be targeted. At least 5 other union members working with Coca-Cola were murdered in Colombia, and the union members were told to quit or die themselves. In 2001, the Sinaltrainal Union drew a lawsuit against Bebidas and Coca-Cola, but the action against Coca-Cola was dismissed in 2003. 1. Coca-Cola and Peruvian farmers. As we have discussed, the original Coca-Cola formula contained a tiny amount of cocaine. When they altered the formula, they had a company called Maywood Chemical Works, which is now the Stepin Company, import coca leaves into the United States from Peru. Once in the United States, Stepin, who still imports the coca leaves for Coca-Cola, removes the alkaloid that is the essential component in powdered cocaine, and then they give Coca-Cola the decocainized coca leaf extract. As for what Stepin does with that cocaine alkaloid? Well, they auction it under government guidance for medical use. For a century, when drug laws were passed like the Harrison Narcotics Act of 1914 and the Jones-Miller Act of 1922, they gave special privileges to allow Coca-Cola to keep importing coca plants, making them one of the few American companies that were permitted to import the coca plant. As time continued on, Coca-Cola's popularity grew and Stepin couldn't sell all the cocaine alkaloid it extracted. This led to special law being passed so that Stepin could destroy the excess cocaine alkaloid under government guidance. The difficulty is that coca leaves can be used to make many other products besides Coca-Cola and cocaine, like tea, sweets, and flour, but the coca farmers in Peru, called cocaleros, can just access the American market through Coca-Cola because of the drug laws that were passed to stop cocaine from reaching into America. With only one buyer of their product, the cocaleros can do a little more than accept Coca-Cola's terms. As a consequence, the farmers stay poor. While Coca-Cola made $41 billion in 2016,